Indie author Christopher M. Tantillo here to talk to you about my third poetry book, Things We Never Got to Share, which is volume 3 in a poetry trilogy that is releasing in hardcover, paperback, and ebook on September 2nd. Volumes 1 and 2 are out now. Things I Never Got to Tell You and Things You Never Got to Hear. I'll put the stickers up there. All of them are available in paperback, hardcover, and ebook. There will be an audiobook for all 3 volumes that I'm going to be releasing probably very late this fall, early this winter. But that being said, I'm going to do 5 facts about this third collection. I did this for the first 2, so there's definitely going to be some overlap. But let's hear about the 5 facts. So, 1 second. So fact number 1 about this third collection. This is kind of like I've said before. This is all intended to be one long book. It's over 400 pages, but after some feedback from my editor, some beta readers, some of my fellow indie authors, everything like that, we decided to break it up into a trilogy. So you have volume 1, which I feel is definitely more like a holistic read. Like, I don't think it's fully satisfying as a standalone book, but I think it reads the best, has the best pacing and best flow because it was intended to be read like that. It just doesn't have a solid ending. Book 2, I personally just don't feel stands on its own at all. It doesn't really have a strong opening, doesn't really have a strong conclusion, ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. And then volume 3, this volume, probably has a little bit of a stronger beginning, and then also it has a stronger end because that's the intended end. But yeah, the first book stands the most on its own. Books 2 and 3 don't stand quite as well as on its own, although this has the best ending of all of them. So, yeah. Fact number 2. So where's the first collection? Kind of has, I would say, most of my micro poetry. I'm a huge fan of micro poetry. This whole collection, for the most part, is kind of a mix of micro poetry meets confessional style poetry. That's just what I'm drawn to. That's what this whole collection, for the most part, does. There are some experimentations thrown in. There's different styles thrown in here and there. Like, you have a sonnet, you have some haikus spread throughout, you have some narrative poems. But for the most part, that's what you get. So the first collection is the most of my micro poetry to kind of draw people in. Whereas the second volume is kind of more of the confessional style poems. That's where you get a lot of that with some micro poetry. And this kind of continues that. This is definitely more of the confessional style poems with some micro poetry thrown in here and there. So yeah, this kind of continues that trend. But yeah, so if you're not a fan of micro poetry and you're not a fan of like confessional style poetry, you're probably not going to love the types of poems that I write. But if that's kind of your bread and butter, I think you're going to like all 3 of them. Although you might have a favorite depending on, if you prefer one style over the other. I think everyone's going to have a different favorite book. But yeah, that's kind of the style. Fun fact number 3. This book, while the first one I think is a good holistic overview where you have some sad, angsty poems, you also have some hopeful and sweet and romantic poems, and you kind